Hello and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Stripes. Going to be an exciting one. We have someone here that a lot of longtime Seattleites will probably recognize. And I really got to go overblown with the introduction here. It's Downtown Joe!
All right. Thank you, Wes. I haven't been introduced like a professional wrestler, I don't think, ever. And I love that. I think that should almost be a requirement for any show I do from now on. That was wonderful.
All right. Yeah, I'm glad I could help add to that.
You bet.
It seems like the body you had a while ago was more conducive to wrestling, though. You've really been doing some stuff to kind of change your lifestyle.
Well, it's not what I've been doing. It's what I haven't been doing.
Oh, that
eating.
makes sense.
I haven't been eating. Actually, it's what I've been doing, too. I've been moving. I've been moving more and eating less. And that's my new program. I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to write a book, and it's going to be titled Move Less and Eat More. No, it's not. It's going to be titled Move More and Eat Less.
I like because I was actually going to ask the opposite direction. I'm looking at gaining a lot of weight.
Oh,
here
well, then,
coming up.
then I'll move a volume for you, and it'll be just the opposite.
Perfect, because I'm constantly without a place to set my beverage. And if I just build in a shelf,
Yep.
then we'd have that ability.
I have that. I still have a little bit. I used to have a lot more. And also what I was thinking about, and this is getting off topic a little bit, but when we're talking about shelves and shirts and stuff, I was going to come up with a clothing line, Old Gravy, because I seem to strategically, when you have a belly such as mine, there's this little spot right here that stuff gets caught. And every shirt I had when I was in the 280s to 300s had a little spot right there. And I thought, if you made that cool, if you made that designer and you called it Old Gravy, you might actually make a buck. But that was one of my many ideas that I never followed through on. So.
Seems like a good one. Can you work on bringing chest hair back? There's some people here who could really use that.
And that's something I got to say I have a little of. I don't have, a wealth, but I got some hair. But you know who the hairiest man I've ever met is?
Oh,
and I think you've probably met him because he actually plays in a band with your sidekick, Mike, from Coffee with Stripes.
Oh, really?
If you want to see some hair, have Pedro Bartez from 95.7 The Jet take his shirt off. It's kind of scary. I mean, Sasquatch sightings went way up when Pedro and Luciana moved here because he is the hairiest dude you're ever going to see.
Wow, so back when the Sonics were in town, I actually saw Pedro roaming around, not Squatch.
Yeah.
Amazing. I think we have an idea for a new contest.
Oh, you got it. I'm serious. You will never meet him. And it's not only in the front, it's in the back. This dude, you can comb his back.
I always knew he seemed well-rounded.
Oh, yeah. He's a hairy man.
This might be the only episode of Coffee with Stripes we've done where Wes hasn't taken off his shirt because he's pretty proud of his chest hair.
Oh, really? Oh, you got to have Pedro on, and they got to compare. I mean, the chest hair throwdown. I'm serious.
I think so. We got to be taking bets here. There's got to be something on the line.
Yeah, I got nothing. I mean, I'm about average on that stuff, and we could compare, but I don't think anybody wants to see that. But if you and Pedro get on now, that's required viewing. I will tune in if you guys do that.
Oh, awesome. I like it. Yeah, I mean, we'll work on the clothing line that also gives viewing angles of that.
Yeah.
All right. So I heard you had a beard by the age 16. Is that true?
Yeah, definitely. I had, and even earlier than that, when I was 15 years old, and I shouldn't tell this story because now I'm a high school teacher, and I don't want kids to get the wrong idea, but it was a different time when I was 15, and we were thirsty, and Rainier beer was one of our things of choice to quench our thirst with. And I was not of age to buy beer. I was not even of age to drive to buy beer. So the people who were old enough to drive would take me to the tavern to go buy the keg when I was 15 because I looked 21. Now, once again, I'm a high school teacher, and I shouldn't be telling this story. And all you kids,
he does not support it. He's not condoning it.
Not at all. And it was a big mistake, I will say. And I wouldn't be weighing 300 pounds and thinking about marketing shirts with gravy stains on them if I had not done that. I mean, stay in school, don't drink beer, and you'll be height weight proportionate. Let me just say that as a public service announcement.
All right, that's good. I actually work with a fellow named Bruce Meskey.
Oh, yeah. I love Bruce. Oh, Bruce is the best. And he helped me drink a lot of that beer. And
that was the rumor.
He probably gave me a ride to go get some a couple times.
Yeah, so anything he just said, it's probably Bruce's fault.
Yeah. Oh, Mr. Bruce and I had a lot of great times.
No, he's a good guy. And when I asked him about you, there was someone else who went to school with you. You've been around this area a long time. The Common theme is just what a nice and enjoyable person you are to be around.
Oh, thanks. I try. That's I figure it's easier to go through life that way.
Yeah.
And that's one of my basic philosophies and that's one thing I will happily brag about that I teach my kids is, and I teach on Mercer Island, so there's a few that could learn this, is a little empathy for your common man and to know that we're all in this together and there's nobody any better than anybody else and let's treat each other decent. And that's kind of a way I've been brought up to think ever since I was a little kid.
Empathy goes a long way, and if you don't have to learn it the hard way, that much better.
Yeah.
So I also heard a rumor that you were in the Touch of Grey Grateful Dead music video.
Somewhere, yes, at Laguna Seca Motor Speedway, you will see me. It was a very foggy night, and in a lot of ways, so I couldn't tell you exactly where I am, but somewhere out in that crowd, I was there, and that was quite a night because they played the shows at Laguna Seca, and then all of a sudden the word started spreading, hey, they're going to make a music video tonight. They're going to make a music video tonight. And the Monterey Bay, the fog just rolls in. I mean, it's such thick fog. And we all wandered our way back into After Dark. And sure enough, they're up there basically shooting what you see. And that album was called In the Dark. And what you see is... that's when they did the puppets and everything, but the crowd shots they established with the band up on the stage that night, and that was a lot of fun. I saw the Dead with Jerry over 100 times, and that was one of the fuzzy memories that stands out as one of the more special ones.
What year would that have been?
Oh, that would have been mid-90s. That's a good question. I'd have to look back, maybe as early as 92. We have to look back and see when that video came out. I really don't know. I'm terrible with numbers. I'm terrible with thinking in terms of timelines.
Long division portion of this interview out.
Yeah, I can remember some specific things. I was born in 1963. In fact, August 7th. Yesterday was my birthday. I know that because I was born on my dad's birthday is the same. He turned 80 yesterday. Graduated high school in 1981, and that's about the last significant number I can. Well, 1999, my daughter was born, and then the turn of the century in 2000, and after that, it all kind of fades, blends together.
Well, I always feel you don't have to remember because the internet never forgets.
That's right. And I feel, and this is going to get us off track again, but I feel our generation, at least I'm turned 54 yesterday, we are a very special generation, and some take 10 years on either side of that if you're still walking the earth, if you're in your 40s, 50s, or 60s. We saw the world in an analog way before the internet, and the internet was as revolutionary as fire. So we've seen this amazing thing where you can watch us anywhere in the world, me and you guys and a stuffed dog, and you can watch us in Australia. You couldn't have done that 20 years ago. And if you wanted information, you had to go get the World Book Encyclopedias, which, by the way, my dad sold so we could get a free set so I could be smart. And that's the way you got information. Now it's all in the palm of your hand. And we're the only generation that has seen both sides of that. And it's I don't want to be conceited, but we're pretty special people.
I definitely feel like less of a person now.
Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 35.
Yeah, well, you can be in on that a little bit,
Oh, it is. It's on the cusp. I didn't grow up with a smartphone. I had a big brick cell phone that was only for emergencies in my car.
Right. Well, the first bit I did on the radio was going to payphones. I went to a different payphone every day and called in and did a contest on the air. And if you got to me first, you got to play a trivia game. You couldn't do that now. There are no payphones. And plus, it's probably pretty illegal now to say, race as fast as you can to the corner of 5th and Pine and pull up on the sidewalk and rush to me and you might win a prize. I don't think you can do that now.
No, I think that'd be a flash mob.
Yeah. And that's something that didn't exist. I mean, we were deprived of flash mobs as kids, my generation.
That was called a happening or a sit-in.
Yeah, the human beings and all that. We used to sit in, and I think they had to spread the word the old-fashioned way, like call your friend or tell your friend.
But the flash mob had a civil purpose, a civil disobedience aspect to it. It's not like we're going to show up and do Thriller out of nowhere.
It wasn't pillow fights for fun. There was some underlying meaning to activism.
Pillow fights for fun.
And we might be getting back to some activism. I mean, I don't want to get all political here, but we're in some trying times. And the generation that is coming up now is going to have some interesting things to think about and talk about.
Well, it's really hard to not be political. And as you pointed out on a blog, it's something that you've done for a living, so it's hard to just shut off. You had to research the news, give an opinion. Well, I'm actually bringing a gift for you today.
Oh, great.
Something that will help hopefully get some stuff off your chest. I here have Donald Trump that is going to do nothing but listen to you.
Oh, okay.
See that face? That's a contemplative face saying, I am listening to and trying to understand your issues. Whatever you have to say to Mr. Donald Trump, he's here for you.
Well, my simple issue is, please don't get us all blown up. I mean, just be cool. I mean, figure out what it takes. As long as we're still talking and we're not bombing, we're ahead of the game. Why don't you, take a look at a generation or two down the road and look at that? They would like to have a planet that is not overheating from global warming, that is not overheating from nuclear fallout, and just cool it. I mean, just calm down. Thank you for not tanking the stock market, too. I appreciate that. But, on this international stuff, surround yourself with some smart people and get the freaking off Twitter. I can't believe today the guy's on vacation and he's like me. He just has more time for social media now. Get off the Twitter. Cool it on the international stuff. Keep up the good work on the stock market. Treat the Mexicans nice. They're actually very nice people, and don't worry about the wall. And let's just, try to survive these 4 years. I'm not a fan of the dude, but we are kind of stuck with him at the moment. There is going to be a lot of maneuvering in that department. I imagine there will be many, many months of court hearings and cable news talk shows and all kinds of talk. And I don't know how much time I have to devote to that. But my message to him was just let's please just mellow out a little and try your best not to get the other guys with the nukes too mad. And let's keep the uncomfortable détente that we've all enjoyed for decades now.
Yeah, maybe let's not try to play playground bullies with North Korea.
Exactly.
I mean, we have campaigns in schools that are against bullying, anti-bullying, but the president is like shoving down and kicking sand into North Korea's face.
Yes, and his own wife is on an anti-bullying campaign, and he does a lot of pushing people around on social media, and that would get back to my general premise of just treat your humans decent. And I know that's not in his, DNA, because that's not the way he made his money, and that's not his recipe for success. His recipe for success is walking over people, but you're at a spot now where that's not really the best strategy for us.
I mean, he's great at grabbing cats. I assume to take to a shelter, right? That's what the whole grabbing cat thing was about.
Yeah. Well, and that would be a noble thing for him to maybe humanize himself a little. Let's get into some feline spay and neuter programs or something.
Throw the Bob Barker route.
Yeah, let's talk. If he ended every press conference with, and by the way, spay and neuter your animals, I would have a little more empathy for the guy. I really would.
Yeah, even with a lawsuit from Bob Barker, I would take it.
Yeah, and I think he's dead now, right, Bob?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
still kicked Adam Sandler's butt.
Nice man, by the way, Bob Barker. Very nice man.
So you ever think about running for governor?
Me, no. I've never thought about any politics, but I do have a lot of politicians in my family. I got my Uncle Jim's a congressman. My grandfather was mayor for many, many years in a little town in Mississippi where my family's from. There is a lot of politicians in my family. Now, I am a union guy, suddenly I find myself. I'm in a teachers union, and we're in a negotiation right now for a new contract. And I know unions and politics kind of go together. Now, I'm no union spokesperson. I'm simply a member. But I do see an opportunity that I may need to speak out a little bit on that sort of thing. And I would never say I'm not going to be in politics, but I really don't think I'm suited for that sort of thing. Plus, going back to that 15-year-old getting driven to get the kegs kind of stuff, my wife tells me there's way too many skeletons in my closet. If you did some digging, you wouldn't find the stuff you found on Donald Trump, because I've always treated people, especially cats, really good. But you would find some things that might make me unelectable.
There's no such thing anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
maybe
think
that's
we've
true.
crossed that
Maybe
line.
that's true. Because
It makes you endearing.
I
It
can't
does.
say I ever did anything I mean, I did things I guess I'm not proud of, but I can't say I did things that would, nobody's going to come forward and say he was a real mean guy or he did this nasty thing. There's none of that. It's just mostly, enjoying myself was my only real crime, I guess, was maybe spending a little too much time doing things I liked and not enough time doing things that were good for the world. And now as I've gotten older, I've tried to balance that a little bit, and I try to do more good stuff and less selfish, this will make me feel good stuff.
It's another good thing we can all try to strive for ourselves. But there must be some gigantic lie you've told about a fish.
About a fish, I think fishermen have a certain block because if I do lie, I don't mean to, and I don't know that I've lied. Now, the biggest halibut I caught was over 100 pounds. I think it was probably barely over 100 pounds, and I think in some conversations it might have stretched to 120, 130. I'm not sure, and I don't think there's any documented proof. I do know it was over 100, and I do know the biggest king salmon I ever caught was 50 pounds. But if you want to get technical, I think it was 48 and a half, but in general, I'm going to call it a 50-pound king salmon, and it was a monster, and it was on the Hoh River with a guy named Tuck Harry, so it's pretty well documented, but it just doesn't sound as good to say, I caught a 48-and-a-half-pound king salmon. I mean, that's a big salmon, but why not give it that extra pound and a half? I mean,
I'm
it's
with
just,
ya.
it's just it's a little easier it rolls off the tongue a little easier.
That's not lying, really. That's just utilizing economy of words.
Right. And
50,
just
48 and a half.
yeah, you got to, that's one thing I've learned in his years as a storyteller and on the air is you've got to paint pictures, and 50 just is a little brighter color to use in your picture than 48 and a half. It goes back to not being that good at math anyway. I'm the fractions and stuff. You don't really need to mess with that.
Did you start fishing early in Mississippi?
I did. I had uncles that would take me fishing. I did it as a little boy, and then I totally forgot about fishing for many years. And I even lived over in Ellensburg for a while and didn't fish when I was over there. And I kicked myself because somewhere in my early 20s, a good buddy of mine, Ben Forrester, we started going fishing in Eastern Washington, and we started doing it all the time and just loved it. And I fell in love mostly with freshwater fishing. I loved the bass fishing, the trout fishing, and hiking back into the lakes of Eastern Washington and that sort of fishing. And then when I got into radio at KISW in 1990, a guy named Jim Campman, one of my first jobs other than going to phone booths was Campy said, he was our news guy, rest in peace, great guy. He said, Fridays, people don't want to hear news. They want to hear something fun. I tell you what, why don't you do a fishing report every Friday? So I started doing the Friday morning fishing reports, and that led to a career in fishing, because all of a sudden when you're the guy on the radio talking about fishing, everybody wants to be your fishing friend. And I started getting trips to Alaska and New Zealand and all over the world to go fishing with these guides. And that's when I started catching big fish. My instances of fishing went down. I wasn't over in Eastern Washington every weekend, but my quality of fishing went way up. And I fished some of the greatest steelhead runs in the world, and I fished Lake Taupo in New Zealand for big trout, and it was just an amazing run of fishing. Now I'm back to a 30-watt station, and I'm a high school teacher, and suddenly the guides don't call me quite as much as they used to. But I did do.
It's a budding market with the high school kids.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
want to get to the youth.
Well,
lure them in.
Well, yeah, and I got a kid, Cosmo, who's going to be a great fishing reporter. He loves to talk fishing, and I still do some. In fact, last weekend I was co-host of Northwest Wild Country on KJR. Bill Herzog had me on KJR 950 for 2 hours talking fishing. So I still do it every once in a while, but I didn't feel super qualified because I hadn't talked fishing in a long time, and I hadn't fished all year. So I got to get back into that. I do love to fish, and that's something I need to make more time for.
You ever hook yourself while fly fishing?
I've not fly fished much. I'm a wet fly guy. I'm not adept enough at it to do the dry fly, and I've never really hooked myself, but I've certainly hooked a lot of trees, because when you're you kind of get that overhand motion and you get that thing whipping, and being a basically a worm drowner from Mississippi, this was a whole new kind of fishing to me, and I was never very good at it. And I appreciate the purists, and I will almost say snobs, that really, go for this fly fishing thing.
It's difficult. I mean, I had a pierced ear as a teen, not on purpose.
Oh, really? Yeah. And I've seen that happen. I mean, I've seen some treble hooks in ears, and it's not pretty. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, more fishiness. He's got a Facebook page. I'm sure there's a lot of other stories and fun stuff there. There's also an event that you wanted to speak about coming up.
Yes, if you're not doing anything this Sunday, the 13th of August, while you're doing something now, especially if you're in Monroe or anywhere that you can get to Monroe, there's a golf course out there called the Blue Boy Golf Course, and we're going to have a great show for a great lady. My friend Lois of Jerry and Lois Photography have captured moments of the rock stars and Seattle music and Seattle media for many, many years. And they've gone on to capture the moments I've done as a teacher. They come and support my program at Mercer Island High School, and they're just the greatest people in the world. Well, Lois has got some serious health challenges right now. She's going through stage 4 cancer, and she's really in need of some medical funds and in need of some cheering up. And that's what we're going to do this Sunday. And we're going to have Rock and Roll Hall of Fame member Roger Fisher, founding member of Heart, Lee Oscar from War, the Cisco Kid and Lowrider, all those great harmonica parts. Lee's the one who wrote them and played them. He'll be there. Jeff Cathan from the Paul Rogers Group and Spike and the Impalers will be there. Apple Jam, the greatest Beatles tribute band in the world, if you ask me. They play in Liverpool. They're so good. They will be there. And there's going to be a guy named Carson Dent, an 18-year-old drummer that's going to guest with them. He was with Sir Paul McCartney last week on stage. Carson's going to be there. So Paul called him up to sing. So he must be good. If Paul McCartney calls you on stage, he must be good. But the one I'm really excited about, and the one I encourage you to come, and I promise will be worth the $30 donation, is you want to see Exopsis. Exopsis is my former program director, Leah Rice's. She graduated high school last year, and her 11-year-old brother, Zane, is the drummer. They're a duo. They're Greek by heritage. Exopsis means to excite. And that is exactly what they will do at 4 p.m. at the Blue Boy Golf Course next Sunday. Leah is amazing. She just recorded her debut record at Robert Lang. It'll be out later this year. She has some very big things coming that I will let her tell you about. Maybe she'll come on Coffee with Stripes, and you should get her while you can, because she's going to be going places. In fact, one place she's going is to KZOK. She works for CBS now. She got hired 2 days after I got done with her as a high schooler. They scooped her up for commercial radio. So we've got Exopsis, we've got Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, Rockfish and friends are going to reunite. Rockfish from KZOK is bringing out his old band, which is a killer of a band, and there's more people getting added to the bill the whole time. We got plenty of musicians, so what we need is some people to come out. That's this Sunday, and it's at the Blue Boy Golf Course in Monroe. Just make a donation, come on out. It's Lois Palooza, like Lollapalooza, except Lois Palooza. And you can look that up on Facebook or loispalooza.org and get tickets. And this is an ongoing effort. This will be one show. We will probably need more shows and more support. So this is something I'm very passionate about. Lois is one of the greatest people you'll ever meet. And anything we can do to brighten her day and take some of the strain financially off of what Jerry and Lois are going through, I'm all for helping with.
Wow, that's a heck of a lineup for a good cause, too.
Yeah. And so it's this Sunday, 4 o'clock. We'll be going till we get tired, probably 10 or 11. It's it's a work night, so it won't be super late. But I promise you will see some great music.
All right. Well, we'll just have one last kind of fun question to wrap things up here. If you were going into the film or television industry, what sort of role would you play? What would be your main character? And what would be the line of money it would cost to bear it all?
Oh, to bear it all? Well, I don't think I think they would pay me to not bear it all, for starters. I would not have any problems with doing nudity if it was part of the art. I mean, you know,
But it's art.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I mean, this is an art thing you guys are doing. A show with the stuffed dog. I mean, this is the what makes the show. By the way, Stripes. He's
the star.
He's what centers this whole thing. You know, and in an avant-garde way, if somebody said, much like doing a show with the stuffed dog as your sidekick, we're going to need a little bit of nudity because it's crucial to the story, I would probably do that. Now, once again, I go back to I'm a high school teacher. I have a reputation. Someday I might need to run for governor. So I am not, you know, I am.
Maybe it would be a painting by George Bush Sr.
Yeah. I'm not going to just do it for nothing. But if it was critical to the story, you know, and as far as compensation goes, my price is getting lower all the time. You know? I mean, I used to make a bit more. My talent fees were a bit more to sit in a parking lot or to do anything than they are now. Now I'm sitting in a warehouse in Seattle with a stuffed dog for nothing. So, you know, I think it would be a step up. Not that I don't love this, because I actually watch. I like Coffee with Stripes. It's a great show.
Oh, well, thanks. We really appreciate you being on. It's great that you took some time out of the day. And, yeah, I know Stripes has really been anticipating it.
Yeah, I'm happy to meet him, and I'm happy to meet you, Wes, and tell Bruce hi. And I think now that we've had the Stripes part, we're going to get the coffee or something going in here. And I love what you got going. Have me back sometime.
It's Downtown Joe. Thank you.
Thank you.